So tell me, how did this, career journey impact your personal journey? Or did it not?
How did my career journey impact?
I mean, have you found that you have been balancing it well with your private life, with your friends, family, you know, whatever that private life entails?
So I think, well done. Well done. I think I've always been somebody that has been very hardworking.
Right.
And my first memory of being hardworking was my GCSE exams, so the exams you take when you're 15, 16.
Yeah.
And at school, I was what they would have called me, you know, distinctly average. In actual fact, I wasn't distinctly average. I just went to a school where, you know, it was the top 3% of the country. So I ended up getting, you know, 11 A stars and 4 A's at A-level and whatever. But I was made to feel like I was distinctly average.
Right.
And it wasn't a pressure my parents ever put on me. It was just a pressure I decided myself.
Yeah.
I remember I had an A-level chemistry teacher who told me I was going to fail A-level chemistry. Probably because I wasn't concentrating and going out seeing boys and things. But I remember being like, you know what, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm not going to fail chemistry.
Right.
And ever since schoolie, I've somewhere in me have kind of, go for it. Somewhere in me, I found just kind of self-motivating to be hardworking. And that's definitely translated through my career. I've got memories of times in my career where I've worked, you know, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. every single day of the week.
Right.
So that definitely would have impacted my personal life. Mm-hmm. But I think in your 20s, you have this weird resilience. You just have no worries. I look back at me in my 20s and I didn't actually have any worries. And I think you're just able to do it. Whereas I think the older you get, or certainly for me, the older I've gotten, I become more aware of it. And so it's been something I've been really conscious at when starting Luna Daily. But now it's a different type of balance I'm having to get. Because for lots of the time, for me, I love it so much that I want to do it all the time, not because I have to or because, you know, someone's telling me to. No one's actually really telling me to do it. You know, I'm driving myself because I want to. Yeah. But what I've learned is you have to put in guardrails of balance, not for when it's easy and you're loving it and you're enjoying it, but ready for when it gets tough. So I think finding things that bring you real joy outside of what you're doing as a founder, and then proactively making sure you're doing them on a regular basis, so that you like continue to foster a healthy balance. And it's harder to do when lots of the time you love it so much.
You know, and it reminds me of like when you tell this kind of story of the balance and how you can have a burnout and how you can't switch off. It reminds me of my first job. And you know, your first job.
What was your first job?
It was at a software company, more startup. I mean, smaller than any other companies I worked for. But it was my hardest job. I mean, I did not sleep throughout the whole year and a half, and that was probably the shortest job I've ever had, but in fact, it was the toughest one. Yeah. And so I would fall asleep, and I would, you know, like those little Blackberries that we had?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And so
they came and went, didn't they?
Yeah, and then we had this, it was on vibration, and I would receive an email, it could be anytime, 3 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., whatever, sleeping. I would wake up on the vibration, automatically start reading an email and start typing a reply. And it was like so incredibly unhealthy. Yeah. But I've done that for a year and a half, and it gave me a lot, but also at the time I had a lot of energy and hunger and almost like the physical health until I didn't. When I was switching between jobs from there to another, where, I mean, also at this company, we had absolutely psychotic head of UK who was throwing staplers at us.
Sorry, it's not funny.
It kind of is now, but you know what? Fun fact about that guy, man. I mean, it's not because like it's a man, it could have been a woman, but it's just factual. When I quit and I said I was moving to another organization, he put me through the most traumatic meeting of my life. Head of HR was there. And you know what? She did nothing. she was on his side, and he was like, if you take our clients, we're gonna sue you. I'm gonna like ruin your life. At that time, I was also on a student visa because I'm Georgian and I need a visa. And so it was just this like a daunting, like awful meeting where it's like, I'm not doing anything wrong. I mean, I'm just like switching companies.
Yeah.
I'm not even telling you how shit you are.
Yeah.
And you're threatening me, this like old ass person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what, early 20s? And fast forward, it was maybe a year ago, I get a LinkedIn message from him. He's like, hey Tamta, long time. I'm like, yeah, fucking long time.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm at this new company, startup, we're raising capital. I wonder if you could help. Karma is a bitch.
Yeah.
Also, goes around, comes around,
Yeah.
you know? But it was just so interesting for me that he was so oblivious to the fact that how awful he was.
Yeah. And it's amazing, right? Because those people really do, they really stay with you. Like, I think in lots of positive ways, they really shape you. You know, on the other side of the coin, that first manager I told you about that told me to quit my job and go work for the startup, I was able to phone him 10 years later and
and be like, I did it.
Guess what? I've just realised I was sat down in Devon, it was my birthday, and I don't know what made me think of it, but I was like, oh my goodness, I've just realised that it's lovely, but it needs thinning out slightly.
With
tiny
vinegar?
Tiny bit of vinegar, tiny bit of water.
Okay.
And I phoned him and I was like, Doug, I've just realised that 10 years has passed and I'm driving a car with a dog in the back to my own studio. And what I hadn't even realised I was doing, what 10 years ago I said meant was real success. So yeah, I think for both the good and the bad, people like that can really shape the leader you want to be.